y'all, welcome back to Simple Man Simple Life. Today I want to make a walk around video of my homemade kind of backwoods firewood saw bucking station. I made a video a couple weeks ago when it was still kind of in concept of it running, and I've had to learn a lot of things, make a lot of improvements, and I think I got it about dialed in now to where there ain't gonna be a whole lot more changes I make. There'll be a few just kind of as things wear out and I have to rebuild stuff, I'll replace it with better, but just kind of show you what it is from here. The idea here is after 10 years cutting and splitting firewood, my back has just become very sore all the time. So, you know, there's a lot of different ways you can cut up your logs, but you know, generally a lot of people cut them up in the woods on the ground, throw it in the back of a pickup truck. We move way too much volume to do it that way, so we haul our logs in. And I was generally just using the forks on the tractor to pick them up, you know, about waist level, so I could cut them and I wouldn't have to do as much bending. But I still got to bend up and pick them up off the ground and put them into the carriers, move them, you know, from place to place. And it just got to where there's a lot of extra handling. And I wanted to eliminate as much bending as possible. There's a lot of bending when you're cutting firewood, and it just, I don't know if my back can handle it for another 10 years, so I wanted to do something a little different. So I designed this thing. There was a similar one built on, somebody had one on YouTube. It wasn't quite this elaborate, but I built mine to work with what I got. Generally, we get a lot of treetops. That's basically all the logs that come from the limbs of the tree. The main log has been taken to use as lumber, and we get a lot of this crooked, and I mean, it makes great firewood. But, you know, if I was to buy a firewood processor, generally I would need a bunch of relatively straight logs, and I get all types of size of logs. And so I wanted to design something that could handle both and you know, not cost me a fortune. So far, this entire build, I figured I'm about $600 deep, from not including equipment that I already had, the log splitter, the chainsaw, that, you know, leaf blower that I had already owned for the business. I just added them to this to make this contraption. And generally what we do is we pile up logs here on the end. I just finished for the day, so I don't have any sitting here, but I'll put them up here on this log here going crossways. And I got a winch up here. I just made 3 sets of landings going up here so you can easily get up and down without hurting yourself. Originally, I just to prove concept, I bought just a little cheap, like $60 Walmart 2,500 pound ATV winch. I knew when I bought it, it wasn't going to hold up, but I just wanted to get a couple small logs going through this thing to make sure it was going to work, you know, and then upgrade as needed. So I quickly tore that winch up and I went with a Harbor Freight Badlands 9,500 pound winch. And this thing made all the difference in the world, honestly. I mean, there ain't a log I've hooked to it yet that it will pull up here. If it can fit through this opening, it'll yank it up here. So, and I got the cordless remote so I can operate it from the ground. But this here, basically, these are just 3 telephone poles, just kind of in a V pattern. The winch is up above, and all of this lumber I got for free off a Facebook Marketplace. Somebody was tearing down a deck. They wanted somebody to get rid of it. It's all treated lumber, most of it. Some of it we got from my dad's sawmill. The telephone poles, those were free. Several years ago, they were replacing all the telephone poles down the road, and my dad had stopped and asked what they were going to do with them, and they said, "Do you want them?" He said, "Sure." So they've been laying around here for years, and we just knew someday we'd find a use for them, and here it is. I spaced all the deck boards here except for the one on top where I stand, because I wanted all that sawdust to be able to get blowed straight that way. But all the I basically made a dust collection system underneath, and then I put this table off on the side because I quickly found that the smaller diameter logs, I would say anything that requires a 4-way split or less, I don't need to be running up that thing. It just takes too much time to hook it and move it and do all that when I could just cut it up a lot faster. So I built this log deck out here. For my smaller logs, I'll just set them up here with the tractor and I can roll them out here. And I put these 2 big blue lines where I can expect to find a screw. So I make sure when I'm cutting, I see those lines and I make sure I'm not going to hit. Other than that, I lay my logs up here, they cut, the sawdust falls underneath. They stay up here at waist level, and then I'll turn around and load them into a carrier. Like that one over there, it's usually sitting right here beside it. You'll see in the video how I do that. And this eliminates me having to bend up and pick them up off the ground. I literally just pick them up, put them in the carrier, and I can pick them up out of the carrier and put them on the splitter. Only the wood down in the bottom of the carrier I will have to bend over to pick up. But even with that, I can get on that behind it with the tractor and lift it up a little higher so I'm not bending so far. And then underneath here is all these tubs. They got pallets under them. It's just collecting the sawdust as it falls, and I blow it with the blower up there. The log will come up there, that winch will drag it up here, and I'll hang out over the edge here. And then I just take my chainsaw there. It's in a little holder. I pick it up and I cut it. The log will fall, roll down this ramp down here to the splitter deck. And I mean, occasionally I got to come, if there ain't nobody down there running a splitter, I got to get down every couple of logs and kind of move the stuff around to get it, you know, where to keep the thing flowing. But if there's somebody on a splitter, it can pretty much just run and keep up with them. And then, you know, as I get these other little baskets, I can throw them over here to the side. But all of this stuff, because it's smaller, requires a 4-way wedge. We just wait to do these and we switch out our 6-way on our Wolf Ridge splitter here. We will switch that out to a 4-way, and you'll get a whole lot less scrap. You get all this splitter litter that falls underneath the splitter when you're splitting. And I found that if you try to use the 6-way as a 4-way with these smaller ones, try to divide, you'll get so much waste, stuff that just gets sheared off of there. And that's just money I'm losing. So, you know, that way also separate our wood out. When we get ready to split that, I switch the wedge out real quick. It's real easy. I pull the pin, the top comes off, drop the new one on, put the pin in, and back in business. But I'm going to show you the video of this thing running now, and I'm just running it by myself today. So, you know, it's not going to be as productive as its fullest potential, but you'll get the general idea. Let me walk back up here on the platform real quick. I bought this battery charger at Harbor Freight. I think it was like 130 bucks. I already had the battery. I just took it out of my boat because I ain't using my boat this time of year. It has a shut off disconnect for the power, and I use just this jumper cable for the negative. Just real easy. That way I can kill the ground, do it. I can kill the power to it, and that thing shouldn't do anything. I found that I pretty much got to run this thing at 40 amp boost, just because the winch is dragging on it all the time. But then, like, I'll set it on 10 amp overnight and let it recharge, get a full good recharge. But I think it's good for today. I'm not going to mess with it too much. As you can see, you come up here, the log comes up. I just grab my saw here. I made this little holder for it, so when I need to mess with it, I can't set it down, and I ain't got to bend all the way down to the ground to pick it up. But I cut it, come up here and I cut. When the sawdust starts backing up, I grab my blower and I just blow it down there in that hopper, or blow it over here. And I'll tell you, each one of these pieces I ain't got to bend over and pick up off the ground. It's just one less time I'm going to be in pain. You know, we got our table set up down there at waist level, so whenever you pick it up, you're literally just picking it up and turning around and setting it right back down the splitter. So you're not really doing any heavy lifting, you're just bending your knees and turning. So anyway, hope you enjoy this video. Check it out. If you haven't already, like and subscribe to this channel, and you'll get more awesome videos like this. Have a great day, guys.